In one of the most inaccessible archipelagos on the globe, the Mergui Islands outside Myanmar and Thailand, the last free-roaming population of marine nomads have survived until today. For thousands of years, they have spent their entire life on the ocean, aboard their unique kabang boats. But now, pressured by the ever-increasing demand for seafood and pristine tourist destinations, local authorities have now forced the Moken into makeshift villages and made it impossible for them to build their kabang boats. Without kabang boats, the Moken way of life is dwindling. Their unique culture represents humanity's last window into a perception of life which is lost in our modern world.
I wanted this to be the Moken people's story, not my story about the Moken people. But very early on, the idea of making it point of view one of the Moken and telling his or her story came about. And then how do you do that if you don't know everything, you know? So this is when we started Project Moken, which is more internet-based, which is talking about the Moken situation and dealing with it outside of the story of a sea nomad in my film. And through those voyages, going down there year after year, I had lived sort of without the camera with the Moken for so long that when the film was financed, everything was ready, I could go and shoot as if the camera wasn't there.
On the Thai side of the border, the Moken population are forced on one single beach inside the Moken National Park. This is the southernmost pair of islands in the Mergui archipelago, which consist of nearly 1,000 islands outside Myanmar. To be able to capture the current situation of the Moken undisturbed, the film crew had to sneak into the national park and start shooting during the monsoon season when the weather is very unpredictable and the national park is closed.
Today we've been lucky enough to board a Thai trawler, which means we can go into the forbidden zones of the national parks even though it's the monsoon season. And tonight, hopefully, if we can make it back in these waves, we will see the kabang. And I don't know, Christian, are you nervous about how it looks?
Very nervous. Saw it about 4 months ago and it was a wreck. So on the beach. So now it's we have heard that it is repaired, but we'll have to see.
Christian, this is Burma.
That is Burma.
This one, the one in the horizon there.
The Moken kabang boat has sailed the seas virtually unchanged since the Stone Age and have been fine-tuned into the perfect vessel of living on the waves. Each kabang boat is the home of an extended family. This kabang boat had been towed to the mainland earlier in desperate need of maintenance and restoration by Hook's father, Zhao.
He make kabang very nice and very short. Keep me happy.
Yeah. Are you happy?
Yeah.
There is something very special when you arrive at the Surin Islands. There is a special feel to these islands. It is magical in a way. Just jump off the boat and let the sea splash all over you and you emerge into this Moken realm and just swim the last kilometer or so. I've just always done it. I have to do it.
once again, the Project Moken traditional approach to the Syrian village is swimming. Every time we come here, we swim the last stretch, and it's such a magnificent feeling to swim into this beach. How you do? You good?
Whenever a Project Moken team arrives at Syrian Island, we shuffle together the money that it takes to buy rice, chili and oil for 60 families. So we bring that along just to make sure that everybody has the staple food stored, and then they can spear the fish and take the scallops and lobsters, whatever, in addition to that. So it's just needed because nobody else is doing that. Nobody is thinking that half a year these people are now stuck alone on this island without the means to support themselves the way they know how. When you arrive in the Moken realm, as quickly as possible, you should talk to the ancestors and just check out what's happening in the spirit world. Because the spirit world is full of demons and entities that are in the other dimension. They do all kinds of stuff to mess with us human beings. So if you want to know what the demons and spirits are cooking up that will affect you in the coming days, you need to have a direct line to your ancestors so you can call them and ask what's cooking. Pia, fallen ill with some fever and runny tummy, and me getting stung by the stingray. There's a little too many incidents. So now they have to talk to a spirit to make sure that some entity in the spirit world may not be happy. So we're double checking to see if there's something that can be done to make the spirit world at ease.
The Moken are animists and believe that plants, animals, and certain objects possess a spiritual essence. Spirits, demons, and ghosts are an integral part of our universe and need to be understood and kept at ease to ensure our well-being and safety.
So the two others were hurt by the spirit who was not happy, but luckily I was not hurt by the spirit before they actually made him happy. So I'm safe.
With the spirits at ease and on relatively full stomachs, the Moken and the film crew start shooting the opening scenes of the film. Since the story of the film is seen through the eyes of a young Moken, and we follow him through some life-altering experiences and decisions, early on, Runar decided to shoot the film as chronological as possible. So when Hook gets a job far from home, the film crew suddenly find themselves back on the mainland, with quite different challenges than those at sea.
Now we have it. Transportation montage that takes him from rural mainland Thailand into the city. And I just had a clear message from the producers that, you cannot hang around for a week and shoot this sequence. We need to do it faster. And I was very specific what type of shots I need in that montage for the montage to work. So the choice was simple. We rented a local bus and just, had it for one day and shot the whole sequence in one day. What I've seen with the Moken on the Thai side of the border is that they're being used sometimes in the tourist industry as like the anchor monkey. The anchor monkey on a speedboat, that is the one that makes sure you can keep your tight schedule. Because the only thing that can disrupt the 5 minute there, 5 minute there, 5 minute there of a speedboat schedule is if the anchor gets stuck. And these guys can see underwater without masks, and they don't need gear to swim fast, so they can just jump in the minute there's something with the anchor, fix it, and the boat is on the go again.
As hard as it may be to survive at the bottom of the ladder in the modern world, it was something quite different which made everything change course.
What happened is that Hook's grandmother suddenly died. So he made a deal with the monks. So the monks said, okay, we do the Buddhist ritual, but we don't have to put fire to her. So there were a couple of monks that came along, and they started dictating, you have to walk around the grave 3 times. And the Moken are pragmatic, and they saw that a thunderstorm was coming in, and all these time-consuming rituals, and we just had to finish the whole thing as quickly as possible, put the lid on, get the sand, and get out of there.
Hook never went back to his job after the funeral. Instead, he became determined to make a voyage into Myanmar to look for alternatives to his stagnant situation among his kin. So for the filmmakers to be able to follow him out on the open sea, they needed a seaworthy boat in which everybody could travel like Moken and still keep the people and equipment safe. On earlier Project Moken expeditions, they had used a reconstructed catamaran. But this boat has been sitting idle for some time, exposed to the harsh tropical monsoon, and had become part of the local ecosystems.
The Vanya boat had been sitting idle for 2 years, and she looked like shite, to put it mildly. And she was leaking, and she was rotting, and she had termites. So I had no idea if she could be used at all for this. So again, I had to talk with Tanit, the Thai captain, and we went to the shipyard and we checked it out, got an assessment, and then he gives me the thumbs up and says, okay, we can have her ready in time. So I talk in turn with the producers. This is the budget for setting her up to be almost like a oversized kabang boat. And they said go.
Up until this point, every crew member had to take on several jobs every day. Now, with the added challenges of sailing into Myanmar, the film unit was reinforced with teammates from previous Project Moken expeditions.
So when they arrive, I felt that I needed to reassure them that this is going to go well and it's all going to be fine, you know. But none of us had seen the Vanya boat after she was refurbished. Patrick, it's so good to see you. It's an honor to give you this again. They all insist on coming along for the first look. I wanted to do that alone and make sure, you know, but no, they're all coming, and I didn't know what to expect. And fresh in my memory was how she looked just weeks before. The crew was fantastic when it came to living Moken style. I mean, a lot of them, especially some of the ladies, were very skeptical in the beginning. But they sort of knew they had to go through this if they wanted to make the film, and they really wanted to make the film. So, I had them there. And then after a couple of days, everybody just got into it. And there's some magic to living this far from the surface of the sea, 24 hours a day. You just become part of it. And the film, the tasks, are always in the sea or on the surface of the sea. So you just become an ocean being. And this, I think, would happen to anybody going through this.
Good.
It was just waking up in the morning and getting breakfast served. Everybody eats breakfast. Breakfast is packed away. Then it's all the diving gear, getting ready. When it's sitting there, film gear coming up, getting ready. And lunchtime, pack it all down, and then after lunch, do it all again. So the same space is used for everything. And then it dawned on me that this is exactly how life in the kabang used to be. The deal with all this over-showering that they do, splashing the fresh water around. I had bought one of these trailer little shower heads with a 12 volt that you could rinse off the salt, right? No. The Thai crew refused to use that. The Moken refused to use that because they want this feeling of splash. And it's a cultural thing. I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna let it happen. And I said, but you guys carry the water. 2 days before we were supposed to run out of water, then it's dry. They didn't even have water for the rice soup in the morning. I said, okay, now you go. And they tied up all the plastic barrels into a raft and tried to maneuver this to the beach because now they wanted to fill up the whole boat with water. And they actually did. Worked hard, filled it up. 1.5 days later, empty. They had to do it again. I find that the best way of shooting a documentary is to try and just use your imagination with what you know to come up with a story that works before you start shooting. Whatever that story is, it just needs to work. And then when you start shooting, you can basically throw that away. You're following those lines, but you are open to whatever comes because you know what would work. So when a possibility or a change occurs, you can say yes or no to it. It doesn't become chaos because you know where you are. Like meeting the ladies that dive at night and hand pick the lagoons clean. You can't know about this up front. It just happens, it occurs, and you create a sequence around it. And hook, stand near Patrick.
Moken apa Moken?
Namanya bị mẹ kêu à.
Okay. Thank you. This is beautiful. Okay. This is beautiful. She have to stay. We're not filming her because we film it now, but we put camera here and now we film him. So she has to stay and speak the same. Yeah. Okay. Det var kjempekult. Hun ble kjempeflink da. That was fantastic. Yeah, for real. She's trying to make him understand, but impossible.
Moken apa Moken này?
Xì lá.
Hả?
Là xí sao nhọ tông rồi mà nhọ tông rồi chả là mà cũng bị mà. Tay sure. Tay sure.
Vừa như vậy đầm nam ấy.
When you need to see how Hook feels, you need to see his face. And I had done test shooting on previous expeditions a couple of years before, where we did one-takers, like swimming around him, trying to... But he is so fast. So I realized you have to compose a dive that he would do in one. I would have to split it into maybe 4 or 5 to get the right angles at the right time. So this is when suddenly you're shooting like a crane shot, except that even the crane is floating. So you have this 3D world where the camera needs to be here at this point and he needs to be there at this point, and it all needs to come together, and it's just, you know, logistic hell. So we would go down and I would place everybody, and after talking about it on the surface, what we're trying to achieve, and then we would have a signal, and I can't expect Hook to swim down from the surface, do this stretch, and swim back up every time. So we decided he will be the first Moken with a scuba diving license. So he knows exactly what he's doing under the water with air. All this is because we had to do it this way to get the right angles for the film. The name of the man that made it all possible on many levels is Tanit. Tanit is the long-tail captain from South Thailand that has been with me from day one, working as a translator, working as a location manager, working as a cook, working as a captain. He's just all over the place, with the gentlest personality in the world.
Morning shower.
Just ask him to come to Vanya over there.
เดี๋ยวไปไหนเดี๋ยวผมเก่าเดี๋ยวเข้าไปเสียพวกเอง
Since it was a lot of years in preparation to be able to make this film, I got to spend a lot of time with the Moken, being just myself, living with the Moken, doing Moken stuff. So nerve-wracking as it was to shoot illegally in the national park, to shoot in a country with a total ban on filming, Myanmar, and like anywhere we went, we were at risk of being arrested or stopped, or the whole project would fall apart. So I just decided that since sort of my mission with all the projects surrounding the film is to spread knowledge about the Moken to the modern world, so that each and every one of us can see what we can learn from the Moken, or what have we forgotten in our modern days that the Moken still have? And so I thought part of that, damn it, should be that I'm not going to worry about tomorrow when I'm shooting this film. And that's what I did. I just felt that I had done everything I could in the preparation. So if I just make the next step every day, we would reach the end.